Hey friend, welcome. It's Michaela, but you can call me Mac. So I was able to read 7 books in August, and of course, I need to update my reading journal, so let's just jump right into it. I started the month by realizing I am way behind on my alphabet reading challenge, and I created a TBR to try to get some of these books, but the mood reader in me was just not able to stick to all of the books I set on the TBR. However, I was able to read a book for C, R, and W on my alphabet reading challenge, and I was able to read a book for D and Y on my alphabet reading challenge graphic novel edition. For R, I read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, and the synopsis reads, "Things have been wrong with Mr. and Mrs. Wright for a long time. Every anniversary, the couple exchange traditional gifts, and Adam's wife writes him a letter she never lets him read. Until now. Self-confessed workaholic Adam Wright has face blindness. He can't even recognize his own wife, and Amelia is sick of feeling unseen." When Adam and Amelia went, oh my God, sorry. I'm like reading the synopsis again, like, oh my gosh, Anyway, let me stop. Okay, let me back up. When Adam and Amelia win a weekend away to Scotland, it might be just what their marriage needs. This weekend may make or break their marriage, but they didn't randomly win this trip. One of them is lying, and someone does not want them to live happily ever after. 10 years of marriage, 10 years of secrets, and an anniversary they will never forget. Okay, reading the synopsis just has me shook all over again. This story absolutely delighted the thriller girly in me. Alex and I listened to the audiobook version on a road trip, and I think that made the experience that much more fun because we would pause the book and have discussions and try to guess what was going to happen next. So the story is told through multiple point of views, and I think that piece, along with the intricate storyline, it really kept us guessing on what would happen next. I love books where you can't guess the plot, when they're unpredictable, and this one definitely kept us on our toes. Also, Adam, the husband, having face blindness was just such a unique character trait, and I mean there were just so many ways that you could take that plot point, and I just thought it was interesting how the author chose to do it. And then finally, when the climax of the book happened, I was able to kind of guess what was going to happen, and it's only because it was kind of similar to another book that I read, and I won't say the book here because I don't want to spoil anything, but Alex's mind was blown. He was like, this is so good, I would have never guessed that. And once that piece happened, when we were kind of looking back at the other chapters of the book, I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. It was just written really well. I was really feeling this book all the way up into the end. This is the first book I've ever read by Alice Feeney. And after I read this book, I ran and picked up Sometimes I Lie because I liked this one so much. But I realized after reading both of these books, I realized the author kind of tends to throw too much into the endings of the book. It's like everything but the kitchen sink. There were too many twists, reveals, surprises. It was like the author had 5 different endings and didn't really know which one to choose between, so they chose all 5 and just kind of crammed them in there. I mean, it's not like it was a terrible thing, but it was just oh, okay, this is the end. Oh, no, wait. Okay, one more reveal. Okay, and another reveal. It was just a little bit too much. I thought the story was interesting and different, but because there were just too much twists or things going on in the end, I ended up giving this 4 stars. As I mentioned, the next book I picked up was Sometimes I Lie, and this book shook me. I literally went on a manic rant to Alex about this book because the ending just took me out. I was just like, what was this ending? I literally screamed when I finished this book and was just the ending, what? Okay, anyway, hold on. Let me back up. This is what the book is actually about. Okay, so the synopsis for this book says, Amber Reynolds wakes up in a hospital. She can't move, she can't speak, she can't open her eyes. She can hear everyone around her, but they have no idea. Amber doesn't remember what happened to her, but she has a sneaking suspicion her husband had something to do with it. Or her sister, or maybe both. Terrified and trapped inside her own body, she slowly begins to remember a night that changed her life. Is she in a coma due to an accident? Is her sister having an affair with her husband? What happened at work with her horrible boss? And who was the person who was silently visiting her bedside each night? Alternating between her paralyzed present, the week before the accident, and a series of childhood diaries from 20 years ago, Sometimes I Lie builds to an ending that will leave readers speechless as this brilliant psychological thriller asks, is something really a lie if you believe it's the truth? This story was wild, but I really enjoyed it. It had so many moving parts, the whole, everything but the kitchen sink situation, which at times was a bit much, but it really did keep me on my toes. And I never saw the twists, multiple, plural, coming, which I like in a book, but the twists just did not stop coming. And so it was just a bit much. I do really love the idea of an unreliable narrator, and the author sets it up on the first page. It literally says, "My name is Amber Reynolds, and there are 3 things you should know about me. Number 1, I am in a coma. Number 2, my husband doesn't love me anymore. And number 3, sometimes I lie." And I mean, right there, she's starting out the story telling you that she lies. I mean, it really makes you read the book and kind of question everything that's going on. You don't know what's a lie and what's not. As I mentioned, there were a lot of moving parts in this book, so there's one plot point in particular that I thought was if you would take this out the book, the story would move along just fine. It didn't really need it. And I thought it was going to be more interesting, and then it just kind of fizzled up and died. Quite literally, if you know, you know. But I just, it was just a little weird. And then the ending, that ending. I mean, even the synopsis says the ending will leave readers speechless. I was not speechless. I screamed, and then I went on an hour-long rant. I could not get over it. I don't typically like books where the ending is kind of left up to interpretation, or it kind of leaves people guessing. No, tell me what happened, or write a second book, because this ending was just, I don't know. So that mixed with the too many things going on, I had to give this 4 stars, but I did really enjoy my experience reading this. I also read The Fastest Way to Fall, which was a rollover from my July TBR when I participated in the Plus Size Readathon. So this story follows Britta, who works for a lifestyle website, and she's tasked with writing an article reviewing this new body positive fitness app called Fit Me. So when Britta signs up for the app, she is assigned a coach who happens to be Wes, who also happens to be the CEO of the Fit Me fitness app, but he's not really feeling the CEO role, so he wants to kind of get back into doing what he loves, which is coaching. And of course, Britta is assigned as his client. And the book just follows the next few weeks as they kind of get to know each other and all of that. Now, this is the kind of plus size representation I want to see in my books, a plus size main character who is just living her life. I was a bit skeptical going into this because the book centers around Britta using this fitness app, but the author chose to focus on showing Britta focusing on getting stronger and making healthier choices rather than losing weight. The author does discuss topics like crash dieting and addiction, but she does it in a way that adds to the story. And of course, Wes and Britta are just so cute and so lovely together. I really enjoyed the relationship. Wes was a great coach. He was a great partner. And I also really loved Britta's confidence, her self-talk, her posts about her fitness journey, her friends, her family, everything. I just really enjoyed this book. And overall, I gave it 4 stars. I also read What If It's Us. This is a cute, sweet love story between Arthur and Ben. I love love stories, especially the undeniable charm of first love. However, this book did make me question a bit if I'm getting too old for YA books. I mean, well, it was more I was questioning if I'm even interested in reading YA anymore. When you start to question things where are these children's parents, maybe I need to do some editing to my TBR, which is fine. But the love story between Ben and Arthur was so cute. The relationship was just adorable. There were so many cute and funny moments. I honestly caught myself smiling and giggling while reading this, which was just making me super happy. I thought it was interesting how it ended. It was a bit different. It was a bit unexpected. I was hoping for more of a conventional ending, but I mean, it was all right. I won't say too much to avoid spoilers. It was still okay. This was a great recommendation from Christian. Thank you so much, Christian, to fulfill the W prompt on my alphabet challenge. And I was really excited to see Adam Silvera's name as one of the authors for this book, especially because I enjoyed his other two books. They both die at the end, and the first to die at the end. I did notice, however, his writing has a few reoccurring themes, like taking place in New York. There's two guys that happen on this chance encounter. There's short timelines for love. It's definitely a familiar backdrop for his writing. It's not necessarily a bad thing since those themes worked in his other books. Although I was hoping for something just a tad bit different, but overall I gave this 3.75 stars for a cute experience filled with heartwarming moments. I was also able to read two graphic novels in August, one of them being Drowned City. This was about Hurricane Katrina that absolutely devastated New Orleans and parts of the Gulf Coast back in 2005. 80% of the city flooded, and in some places under 20 feet of water. Property damage was topped at $100 billion, with more than 1,400 people losing their lives. This book describes the tale of Hurricane Katrina and the drowning of New Orleans as one of selflessness, heroism, and courage, but also of indifference, incompetence, and criminality. I think the illustrator painted this catastrophic event in a way that truly captured just how horrible this natural disaster was, while also telling the stories of events that happened that may not have been as widely known. I gave this a 5 stars. Thanks so much, Kim, for this recommendation so I can color in D on my graphic novel alphabet challenge. I also read Yes, I'm Hot and Miss, the hilarious truth about life in a hijab. This was another great recommendation from Christian. I am slowly making progress on this alphabet challenge, but we're getting there. Not only was this funny and delightful to read, it was very informative, and I loved every minute of this read. It was short and quick as well. Huda and her husband are so similar to me and Alex. I even asked him to read it too, and we were cracking up. I think Huda masterfully used humor to highlight the very real microaggressions and just straight up bigotry that Muslim Americans deal with. This kind of opened up a space that may be a bit more comfortable for people to have these conversations, although I don't think minorities and BIPOC people owe anyone comfortability since we are often put in uncomfortable spaces all the time. I still think that she did a great job navigating it and telling her story in an entertaining way. I also enjoyed the glossary at the end as well. I gave this a 5 star. I thought this was great. The last book I want to talk about is Cinderella is Dead. Here is a look at the inside cover. Feel free to pause it and read more about the book. I will also have it linked in the description. A huge thank you to Naya, who recommended this to fulfill the C prompt on my alphabet challenge. This book takes place 200 years after Cinderella's story, and basically her story becomes the law of the land. But women don't really have any rights. They also have to attend these balls to find their husband. And anyway, again, read the full description. Otherwise, I'm going to be here all day talking about this book. The story has so much potential. A young Black queer woman sets out on an adventure to dismantle the patriarchy, and it's a Cinderella retelling. I mean, hello, it sounds interesting, but it just fell short. It follows Sophia, who's the main character. I don't think she's a likable main character. She's a bit selfish and immature, and some of the things that happen in the plot are just a little weird. I get it. In order for things to change, someone has to do something about it, but at times she put people in uncomfortable, awkward situations, and she just wasn't understanding about it. Like, for example, her girlfriend Erin. Sophia wanted to just run away so they could be together at last, but Erin didn't want that because she could have been killed if they were caught. Their families could have been killed or punished if they were caught. And it just kind of felt like Sophia was low-key shaming Erin for wanting to stay in the closet and live a safe life. Again, I get things need to happen in order for society to change, but some of the things that Sophia did just rubbed me the wrong way. That's all I'll say about this book. I gave it 3 stars. And here's a final flip through of all the pages we set up today. As always, I really appreciate you being here, friend. If you want to check out my priority reads for the rest of the year, I will put that video right here on the left-hand side of the screen, and I will see you over there. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.